Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, #1 Amazon bestseller, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway. And on today's episode, my guest is Patti Mills-Roy with Mills-Roy Luxury Travel. Patti is a longtime member of our GTN community, top producer club member over and over again. And she is also actually dual citizen, right? She's Canadian. So welcome to the podcast, Patti, before I even ask you a question. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
So Patti, tell us about because I feel like you came through Tessa, the gift community first, because you
I
are
did.
Canadian. So tell
I
us a little bit about how and you've got such a fascinating prior career that I want to get to. But before we get to the prior career, just tell us about you. You came in through gift.
Yeah.
So it's been a little while. So tell us about that.
So back when I first started being a travel advisor in the business, I guess it was 2018. I started getting emails from somebody called Meredith Hill,
Yep.
and I absolutely fell in love with everything that you had to say. I followed you. I attended the Book More Travel workshops. I became a member of Gift, diehard member of Gift. Loved the Tessa program. Traveled with the group
Right.
on a couple of retreats,
Tessa
uh,
retreat.
and
Yep.
and absolutely was thrilled with the arrangements. I was with a previous host agency that I was not ever happy with, and wanted to join Gifted Travel Network when it became being um, of sorts. And but at the time, transitional, it didn't work out quite as well immediately. So but eventually, once you became virtuoso
Yep.
and things started really looking like a major favorable move for me, I made the transition from my other host agency to Gifted Travel Network, and never have looked a day back since. I just love I've loved the community, the people, the heart, the caring, everything
Yeah.
about Gift initially, and then now Gifted Travel Network. They've
Right.
got the best advisors, the best team of people in Mooresville and around surrounding with some remote
Yeah.
people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
We got a couple of remote
yeah,
workers.
yeah. But I just love everything about what you've created with your team and your cohorts. And I even have to mention I bought your book. And I think it's wonderful. I think it's such a great.
Thank you. First, we are this. It's totally for you.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy that
Have you
you
read it? Are you reading it?
together. No, I'm reading it. Yes, yes, in the process of reading it. So, but yeah, it's just great, and it just tells the whole story that I mean, I've heard a lot of times your beginning story,
Yeah.
and I love that,
Yeah.
how
It
how
does.
everything's evolved through your career as well. That you've
Right.
had your
Yeah.
history of success and made the change, and you probably feel the same way, that you've never looked a day back since then. I'm sure at this point.
Well, there are times, but
Yeah,
but yes,
but
for the
the other
most
thing,
part, I've never.
yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
I was just gonna say that, so I joined at a very critical time with Gifted Travel Network, with COVID, that
Yeah.
I was so pleased that it got me through,
Yeah.
I think I joined in January 2019, and went through the turmoil of unraveling everything that I had done previously with my host agency, as well as, some of the stuff I was
Yeah.
doing when I kind of became a joint member in 2020, as well. I was working both sides, and getting rid of all my old host agency stuff, and anyway, just carried on, and Gifted Travel Network kept me together emotionally
Yeah.
through the process with the Zoom calls that we had all the time and everything. It was just brilliant connection.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you bring that up because I think it's like it feels like it was yesterday, but it also feels like it was 5 years ago, which it was. Um, and I think it it it's really, really cool to be able to look back now on how we leaned in. Like we felt as a host agency, the executive team, we were like, you know, we can either respond in fear or we can respond in, trust and faith, right?
Right.
And that's what we decided to do. And, that's when we really felt like leaning into that philosophy of a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's be the rising tide. Let's have positive expectation. Let's shift the perspective. And the two perspective shifts that we just kept bringing to our community was number one, um, the comeback is always better than the setback. And this is the greatest setback the travel industry has ever seen. And so we are about to experience the greatest comeback the travel industry has ever seen. And guess what? We were right. It has been the most incredible comeback. And the fact that you guys all just kind of kept the faith and took the time to clean up systems, e- evolve your processes and your workflows and your branding and whatever it was that you wanted to
Training
focus on. Yep,
training and stuff. Yep, absolutely.
training, learning about products, has really, really paid off for those of you that did, go through the dark night. But the other perspective shift that we kept saying was, it's a season. Like farmers understand that, there's winter. And when it's winter, they, fix the equipment. They, you know, work on the storage, like, replenish what they need to replenish and they rest, that's a
Yeah.
little bit of what they do in the winter too, is they go on vacation and they rest. Um, so we were saying, just look at this from a farmer's perspective, that this is the winter of your business. It doesn't mean it's over. And I'm glad we did that because it's really paid off. All right, let's talk about your prior career. So you were a business owner and a very successful business owner. Talk about what that business was and what your role was and the skills that you feel that you honed in that former career that you were able to bring to this career.
So there were actually 2 careers.
Mhm.
One was, pre the 20-year business owner,
Okay.
and that was 13 years in, international buying, and
Okay.
so it was with a major corporation in Canada, that did international buying for a large franchise organization with 500 stores across the country, a real icon in Canada called Canadian Tire. Not just tires. We were more than just tires, as our old slogan was. And we were everything from hardware house for sporting goods, seasonal, lawn furniture, Christmas decorations,
Oh, wow.
and automotive parts and service, and a full service bay,
Wow.
category as well. But that's the retail chain that I also bought into for 20 years. But I bought for them for 13 years and did a lot of traveling. So that's where I kind of I actually really started traveling when I was 9 years old with my mother to Australia. And previous to that, we did family trips as well. But my parents were always very major gypsies and loved traveling the world as well. I mean, they immigrated from Australia. So
Yeah.
back, a long time ago, 1952. So, and found their way to Canada. But anyway, 13 years of international buying got me to all over the world, including Southeast Asia a lot, to Hong Kong and Philippines and Hong Kong and Japan and Korea, on, a lot of that travel on a regular basis. And then also to the States, many locations around the States, including, that sort of thing. So I had a lot of travel in my blood, and then got, into getting into Europe as well. And, uh, basically pretty extensive travel. So that was 13 years, and I had at that time, I had 7 buyers reporting to me. I raised the rose the ranks. I started as a marketing assistant, and then became a buyer, and then I had 7 buyers
Managing
reporting to me.
buyers.
Yeah, managing buyers and traveling with them as well around the world. So it was a wonderful career. I did that for 13 years, as I said, and then decided kind of felt like I'd hit the glass ceiling somewhat there,
Yeah.
at the company, and realized I really wanted to get out on my own and do something more entrepreneurial.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you've got a serious entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a great career, but you had wings that needed
yeah,
to be
and
unclipped.
exactly. And funnily enough, my brother was a broker, and actually managed brokers, a large organization across the country in Canada, for years. And he said, "Come and join me. Come and be a broker with me. You could make tons of money, and you'd be great at it." And I said,
Selling houses
no, that's
broker,
not,
real estate broker,
yeah, no, um,
stock.
stockbroker."
Okay.
And I said, "Oh, no, that's not for me. Cold calling and oh, no, no,
Yeah.
that's not for me. I can't do that. That's not my no, no, I have no desire to do that." So then that's when I became what they call a Canadian Tire dealer, which is
Okay.
the franchise owner.
Okay.
It's a lot of effort, but I got into the ranks of that. I was actually the 3rd female Canadian Tire dealer in the entire,
Yeah.
which, because it's a very male dominated,
Yeah. I can imagine.
being sort of largely a lot of it automotive based and hardware
Yeah.
based and so on, hard goods based, retail operation. And so I basically, got my own store. We built a larger store before, and we actually stayed in one location. You can actually move all over the country, and get get larger stores as you go along. And we chose to stay where we were. My mom and dad moved there. My brother moved there, and we kind of built a nest egg. And we kind of fell in love with our staff and our community, and didn't want to leave. That was just in the Niagara region of Canada. And so we
Right.
basically, bought a small store, and then built expanded it, and it enlarged it to become a larger store, and still a small store in the scheme of things for the company.
Right.
But we did very well. We had 65 employees. We had
Wow.
8 automotive service bays. We became the top 8 bay service automotive service business in the country. We had a huge 10,000 square foot garden center, and it was really a fun business for about 18 years of it. And then by year 19, I kind of had enough of between dealing with, customer, you
Yeah.
know, slip and falls, and service, automotive service. You get, you know, grudge purchase. Nobody likes to have their car worked on and
Yeah.
have to have an engine replaced or whatever, spend money on that. And so we just, I got to a point of I had to get out. And
Yeah.
that when we had, but then prior to that, we had actually bought a place here in Florida to come because we were sick and tired of the cold winters of Canada.
Yeah.
And we moved down here seasonally, and came down and found ourselves having to drag our butts back to Canada to the cold, and to just leaving our community here. We
Yeah.
into a tennis and golf community that we absolutely love. It's a gated community here in Florida, very typically, Florida,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just didn't wanna leave. So we hadn't really not much of a life back in Canada because it was all about our business. So when we retired from our business, we thought, "What the heck are we gonna do?" And so that's when, couple years, prior to moving down here, I started thinking, "Okay, we've gotta get out of this place, and we've
Yeah.
gotta get out of here permanently." And that's when we worked to, get, permanent residency here. And, it took a couple years to kinda work through the process, and then one of us had to get a job, and my husband never liked working, and so he elected to not work and be fully retired. And so that's when I started Mills Royal Luxury Travel, and figured,
Uh,
and it was all gonna be just make a few $1,000s a year to, pay
yeah.
our 40 quarters of Medicare when we needed it, or 40% discount. We needed 40 quarters of earnings. And so I started this little business that I thought was going to be just, you know, marginal, very marginal. A hobby. It was really just
Yeah.
going to be a hobby. That was the
Yeah.
sell to friends and family, enough to basically make, and I had to make like $8,000 a year, in
Yeah.
1099. But that's not me. I mean, and
I
really
know. It's so not you.
I was so inspired, but you know what? I mean, ultimately, I was so inspired by, again, the Gift Group,
Yeah.
and then Gifted Travel Network, even more so when I came into the host agency, and inspired by all the brilliance around me of, "Oh,
Yeah.
I can do this," or, I can't, maybe not
Yeah.
as
Oh my goodness. Someone
no,
else is doing like that well at this. I can do that well at this too.
so I just thought, "You know what? I'm gonna make a go of this," and I fell in love with it. I mean, I really did. I enjoy it. I love learning. I love working with most of my clients, and for
Yeah.
those I'm not real thrilled with, I just fire them.
You've learned well, Patty. You've learned well.
Yes, from my fellow peers and and
Yeah.
the travel network team. Exactly, exactly. So
So living in a gated, community in Florida that's golf and tennis, I believe that you've tapped into that community, and one of the things that's helped you really build the business to where it is, to be as successful it is putting together groups. Is that correct?
that is correct.
So tell us how, like, your first group went. Like, was that a disaster? Mine was. Sometimes you have to, like, make all the mistakes in your first one so that, like, if you pursue it, you finally figure it out. But how did your first group go?
Well, I guess I had a couple of smaller groups that
Yeah.
kind of came to be. I'm not even quite sure how they happened. I guess it started with somebody, a neighbor who had wanted to go on a particular ocean cruise liner, for a trip in the
You can
summer.
you can drop names. We
Well,
we love giving love to all of our partners.
well, this one wasn't quite so good. So,
Okay.
that's why I'd rather not mention them. I
Okay,
I mean,
good.
they're a decent enough cruise, and I think most of the people enjoyed it, but there was some, disconcerted feeling from a couple
Yeah,
of the group that they should have really gone upgraded. They should have gone to the Haven, which is what I tried to sell them on.
right.
Oops. Uh, and they didn't find it was acceptable enough where they had, found themselves, after the fact were not happy. But generally speaking, it went fairly well. It was sort of my one of my first, kind of group gatherings, on a cruise, and then another one that happened, that was, um, the same cruise line actually, and it was even an even larger group that happened, and it I don't that came from working with another larger group that I put together, and with On the Waterways, and with the River Cruise Group, and that's where I found my huge successes. The two large groups that I've done and gone with them. They were a come with me, strategy that I learned off of, the Emer and Dervila,
Yeah.
and their brilliance, with the come with me strategy. I cottoned onto that and, decided to work with Alma Waterways, and had great
And
success with.
approach for the so basically a come with me strategy for those listening and who don't know what that is you are the Pied Piper, basically, and Patty's very involved in her community. You play golf, you play tennis. Do you play pickleball too?
No, no, we don't have
Okay.
it at this club, believe it or
Just
not,
golf
but
and tennis,
golf
but,
and
like,
tennis
you're
and
you're always either on a tennis court or on a golf course, it seems like, and it's funny, if you meet Patty in person, she's this tiny little thing, but she's got a lot of energy, and she's very athletic, but you do it because it's fun,
yeah,
right? Like,
no,
it
absolutely.
you've got a little bit of a competitive spirit, just a little.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
But
for
that's what
sure.
makes you a good business owner. So, did you bring the come with me strategy to, like, your tennis group, to a golf group, just, who you hang out with socially?
I did for the most part, but I also okay, so I have to go back to the other thing that I learned from Meredith was, writing my newsletter.
Yeah.
I started a weekly newsletter before I became part of Gifted Travel Network.
Right.
I think
Which,
I
by the way, is a philosophy I've been teaching since I've been teaching. It's something one of the very first things I learned, um, and and I learned a formula that now I've passed on to everybody else, and it's tried and true. It's a build, know, like, and trust, and it is unbelievably effective, and I get so many objections to it, which always makes me laugh because it's so effective. Like, stop fighting it. It works. And you followed the formula and you
I
did
did. So, and I started back in September 2018.
wow.
Before I think no, I had not even I don't even know that I joined Gift. I think I'd maybe attended one Book More Travel workshop.
Okay. Okay. And
But
that
I
was like your
followed
takeaway.
yeah, but I followed your letters and all the, buy the book stuff that and ended up getting a fairly core group of readers and then kept building from there. It's still not a huge group. It's a very selective group of people that I have on my newsletter, but anyway, that's who I really marketed it through. And then I did share
Okay.
it with others and so, but in June 2023 was my first one, and we went to the Bordeaux region of France with a pre in Bilbao and San Sebastian, and we had 72 people. And it grew
Wow.
and grew and grew.
7 new people.
Yeah, and that was my first really big come with me sort of experience. My second one, actually, I've only been doing
Okay.
the
Not to interrupt, but go back to the first one that was on Amma.
yes, it was on Alma.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that's I just wanna, like, also talk about that, like, a river cruise is such a perfect venue for a big group, like 72 people. It's
wonderful.
much harder to get 72 people on a group trip that's like a land-based trip. So just keeping that in mind, like, when you wanna do the group thing, you wanna actually have the right ingredients, and one of the best ingredients is something like a river cruise. Ocean cruise works too, but river cruise tends to be even a bigger success. So carry on. Second one.
Especially, you're right, to the point that it's a smaller venue so that there's
Yeah.
more intimacy with your group.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
really do, practically take it over, and we
Yeah.
certainly did with the June, Bordeaux cruise in
Right.
2023 because it was not long after COVID. The cruise, I think the ship actually was pretty much, like, half full, so we pretty much had 95% of the crew the ship at the time,
Yeah.
and it was hugely successful, and I had a lot,
I mean,
who
72 people on a river cruise. How many cabins was that?
well, 36 pretty much. It was
Wow.
so it was,
Yeah.
and there's 60, well, 72, I guess, on the ship, but
You
it
had basically a half
it
charter.
but yeah, exactly, and it was pretty much only us. I think there
Yeah.
were maybe 10 more
Those
people.
poor other guests.
Yeah, yeah, except you know what? We enveloped in our
Go Plummy.
and they just had fun with us, and it was great. It worked out okay. It worked out fine for them. And then my second one, more recent one was in May this past year, and we had 68 people. And
Wow.
again, we did a really full bore Milan. We had a whole bunch join us in Milan, because that was where we were landing. That wasn't done by AMA. So this is another AMA Waterways River cruise,
Yeah.
that we started in Milan, and then we went to, Lake Como and
Wow.
and Lake Lucerne, and then on to Basel, and took the ship from Basel to, Amsterdam. And it was great. The group was ever increasing as we went along, and then we also did a post in Amsterdam, and Amma did most of they did the pre and the post other than the
Nice.
part. And they're great to they were wonderful to work with because you with doing a partial charter or full charter with them on a river cruise ship, the opportunity for making a lot of money is
Yeah.
very positive.
No, let's talk about that. That's why this is called Unpacked. Like,
Yeah.
let's
So
be
you
real about
are
it. Like, you get net pricing when you do a
exactly,
partial charter. And
exactly.
by net pricing, that means they're discounting the rate by 30%, right? Like
More,
that's how much
depending on the
room
time of
you
year.
have to mark it up, or even more. It's more than sometimes more than 30%,
30 to 40% depending on the
30,
time of year.
40%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the time of year,
So
the ship, the location, whatever their demand is that, they need to fill their ships, obviously. So,
so
um,
have you done the math on the and would you be willing to share like the total profit you made on a 72 or 68 person trip?
well, I'd have to go back and kind of review it again, but I mean, it
Yeah.
upwards of $60,000,
Yeah. Yeah.
net commission.
I bet, if you looked at the travel insurance
Oh,
and
it's
the pre
plus,
and the post, like,
plus,
if you put
plus.
all of that together, you might be in the six figures
Yeah,
on one
it's
trip.
it's
In
huge. It's huge.
profit. This
Yeah,
is profit. This is not like the sales
no,
portion. This
net,
is
net
actual money, revenue coming to you.
in the
Um,
pocket. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's
And
huge.
what would you say so, like, t I think it sounds exciting, and I'm trying to put myself in the listener's position right now, like, "Oh my god, I live in a gated community, and I play a lot of tennis, and I play a lot of golf, and I could do something like I have such a passion." Um, but at the same time, it also sounds overwhelming, right? Like, that's a lot of balls in the air.
Oh, yeah, a little
And
scary. Definitely the first one was well, you know, about this, and especially when you have to sign that contract and
right?
say,
Oh my
"Okay,
god.
I'm
I'm
obligated."
committed. We're paying this no matter what. I mean, whether I
Exactly.
get people, like,
Now, I
booking
mean,
or
I had a lot of obviously at the beginning before I signed anything, I was able to get deposits and actually again,
yeah,
Gifted Travel Network helped me, sort of secure those, deposits and secure them for me, hold them for me until the time
yeah,
is with Amma to sign the contract
right,
and give it. So it's not
right.
like you have to stick your neck out
Yeah,
immediately. You've got time. They're very, very good at working with you and giving you the time and space to get, enough, you know, players on
enough
the way
yeah,
and such. Yeah,
that
that
at
you're not
least to
gonna be
break
a
even.
yeah.
Right.
And then the other brilliant, option that you've got is that if, okay, somebody bows out be for health reasons or whatever, and you decide to give them their money back or not, their deposit back, you can still fill it with somebody else.
Yeah,
You still got opportunity, and again, as long as you've got time under your wing, and it's an appealing. I always tried to make it appealing from a cost standpoint as well as
yeah,
obviously a familial, sort of everybody
yeah.
knows everybody, you're like-minded and all that sort of thing, and it sold quite well. It,
I was
had to
gonna
be.
say, do you ever go through, in either one of those experiences, a period of we're feeling like, "Oh, shoot, we're struggling to get people to sign up."
Yes, yes.
You did go through a period
Early,
of that.
early, early in the game,
Yeah,
yes. It was especially when I was sort of had to get a minimum of at the time, I think the first one, it was like 25 staterooms,
right,
and
right.
and then the second one, it was more like 15 staterooms, so it
Yeah,
depends on, the minimum and, struggling to get that initial take was a bit scary.
but you
Uh,
just carried through that, like, you didn't let that fear, you know
keep plowing, keep
Yeah,
plowing,
yeah,
and and getting the word out and, sending, soft emails here and there and having and asking, to see if you've got any friends and family that wanna go.
right.
Getting close, "Can you help me out here?" And had some people really with some great referrals. And then it explodes from there because our business is all about referrals. I mean,
Yeah,
I know people can market and cold call and put their name out there and have great Google reviews and being virtuoso and get the odd, you'll get it, the odd lead or option or opportunity. But man, when you get, your friends and family and fellow clients and the really good ones that start to spread your word or your name around, and then all of a sudden you don't have to do any of that marketing
yeah,
and cold
yeah,
calling and dealing with people that you don't know. You've got somebody that's always a little an arm's length, away from you, somebody so that you've
yeah,
got that comfort level. If you're afraid of dealing with somebody that's you don't know, and they're from, gosh, no, what goes, no, where are they from? That it's just really nice to get those referrals, and that's what I work my business off of.
yeah.
all the time now.
So now since you've done really that first group, um, that's 36 couples, um, of potential clients for, individual business. And has that is that what's happened? Like, it's just
Yeah.
kind of like exploded.
Exactly, exactly, and
Yeah.
then more recently, and various other trips that I've done. So I've done some I did a big group of 20 people to Casa de Campo for golf.
Oh,
That
cool.
was
I
mostly
remember that. Yeah.
fellow golfers here in the community. And then I've started to get a lot more branching off of people that want to do. I've got a couple right now that are I'm planning an Australia New Zealand trip for them. A 3 week Australia New Zealand trip, pretty lucrative. That they've been on a couple. They did the Casa de Campo, and now they did the May trip. And they've also done a couple of cruises with me, not with me, but on their own that I've worked them for them, and it's just it blossoms from there. Just
Yeah.
the referrals, and again, you just prove to people that you save them, so much time and effort, and you get them deals.
Right.
You get them perks, amenities
Yeah.
that you would not get ordinarily if they're not working with you.
Right.
I have one couple in Venice, Florida, who she found me. She always did her own travel and loved to do her own travel because she was a professional in her previous life. She retired recently. She's still fairly young. Plays golf, but not in our community. And I was just fortunate. I think she found me through Virtuoso, and she has referred me to a couple of other couples who are very
Wow.
lucrative as well, from a client standpoint. But she was the one that said to me, "Patty, I just love what you do for me. I could do this for myself, but why bother? A,
Yeah.
you do it for me, you save me the hassle, and B, you do a great job, and you get me all this extra stuff." So she's just tickled, and she travels. She does sometimes 2 and 3 trips a year. I just love her.
Such a dream client.
Yeah, she's a wonderful, wonderful client. She's probably one of my
I love this. So there's a couple of things going on here that I want to unpack. Number one, what I love about you is that, you know, people talk about there's the doing and then there's the being when it comes to being successful. And you're a doer for sure. And look at what your career, your prior careers have really honed um very, solid operational, like you can't run a successful franchise location like you did, Canada Tire location, with a staff of 65 or whatever it was, um, for 18 years without being exceptional at operations, right? You definitely brought these really solid operational skills where it's just kind of second nature to you, like embracing a 72 person group. Of course, I can do that, even though you didn't know it was going to be 72 people. Um, but so you've got the doing side down, and a lot of people do, but you've got the being side down too. Like, you just have positive expectation. And it's not like, that's why I asked, did you have a period of like, oh shoot? Because sometimes people think, oh, nothing bad ever happens to them. They don't ever feel fear. And it's not that you don't have an experience of feeling fear or doubt or whatever. It's that you just keep moving forward despite it. And
right,
that is a massive difference. And that's the importance of mindset. It's not, m- m- people think, oh, mindset, blah, 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 blah. But mindset is incredibly important, not to diminish the importance of doing, but mindset is what's going to keep you moving forward or halt you in your tracks, right? Stop you right in your tracks.
yeah,
And I see a lot of people get stuck in that doubt and looking for someone else for the answers, looking for the silver bullet, looking for like, well, how did she attract those clients? And you attracted the clients you attracted because you have the right expectation. You have the right mindset, and anybody can do that. And it's not because you live in a gated neighborhood in Florida. I mean, that's great. But if you didn't have the mindset that you have, I don't think you would have ever done these groups, even though you live in a gated community in Florida, right?
Right,
So,
right. Okay.
you embody like the what is it? Like the dual side of things where you're incredibly good at operations, but you're also incredibly good at understanding how to not let the doubt and the fear stop you and just continue to positively expect
Yeah. But
the
but
good to
again,
come.
it does take time. I mean, in the early stages, I did wonder, "What am I doing?"
Yeah.
And even now, every now and then, I have
Yeah.
moments of, God, what am I doing in this business? It's,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden, and I know other fellow, even top producers, at the top 10 have, they have a
Yeah.
low. You have a
Yeah.
low of whether it's a couple of weeks, a month, 2 months,
Yeah.
3 months, the summer,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
all of a sudden you think, oh man, where did everybody go? And nothing's happening. And then it's funny because it's almost like you get anxious and then when you kind of relax and realize, okay, whatever. And then whenever you say whatever, it's like, poof, then all of a sudden it just
Surrender. That's the power of surrender.
and I can't tell you the number of times that I go to Canada and visit my dad and I go in July and I'd sort of think, okay, nothing's happening and and then all of a sudden I'm sort of thinking I don't need the business right now and the business comes, it's sort of, like it's
Yeah.
often said, you got to let it happen and open your mind to it but let it happen and not push it and force the issue and
Yeah.
get all anxious and because it will come and it will come probably when you least expect it, and that's kind of what happens to me every now and then, because
Yeah.
I have to be honest. I mean, I've been a little concerned in the last little while until recently, and I've had a bunch of things come my way, but um, all of a sudden, my Canadian business kind of had slowed down a little bit, and
Right.
because of political situation and such that
Mhm.
it's had a bit of an adverse effect on people. I think just thinking, oh well, I don't want to deal if I don't want to go to the U.S. necessarily, and and not I don't want to get into politics, but there's just some people that feel a certain way,
Yeah.
and I think, there's some brainwashing that goes on in Canada with that too, to a certain degree. But that, it slowed a little bit. I haven't had as many
Yeah.
Canadians. And then all of a sudden, I had a Canadian client, approach me and work through a trip for them that they're doing in June next year because and it's to Europe. So, it's the sort
So
of
that
thing. Let
brings up
go.
a really good, practical question that I feel like might be happening with some of the listeners is, so you can work with clients outside of the US.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I have been doing, and they've been on my trips as well, my come with me trips,
Mhm.
because a lot of my client base has come from my old business in Canada as well.
Yeah.
It's not only the gated community down here, but with the Canadian Tire business, there's a lot that were in that business either at the corporate level or at the store level, and they have the money to travel, they've got the wherewithal, they've got the time, and they've
Yeah.
got inclination. And so I've worked with a lot of Canadian clients who have that I have done their travel for them. And I can get Canadian pricing from a lot of the cruise lines, for example,
That's
or some
great.
of the tour companies as well. You just have to set up a separate, oftentimes a separate account.
Okay.
But to get, Canadian at versus US pricing, Alma Waterways is one of them. And it works out very well for the clients. And sometimes it's even in their better and best interest to work on from a Canadian dollar or US dollar
Right.
point. I mean, it depends on, you know,
Right.
the pricing and the deals
Yeah.
that are in play.
And the
So
exchange rate. Yeah.
exchange
Sometimes you
rate,
can
exactly.
play play whatever side is more advantageous.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so you are just so fun to talk to because, you represent, possibility. So if you were talking to, former Patty, who before becoming a travel advisor, um, what advice would you give her right now if she's, wanting to get out of this business that's been really successful, but I feel like you know, I need my next chapter and I want it I just want it to, make enough cash flow so that I can get the US benefit that I really wanted to get. But what advice and what thoughts would you have for that earlier version of you?
Well, for sure, be patient. Um, be kind to yourself and give yourself time. You do need to I found I had to get my own confidence level up with the travel business. I mean,
Yeah.
I've I've tried to be as confident as I can, but I'm not always confident in everything that I do right away, obviously. And the more you learn from wherever you can learn it from, whether
Yeah.
it's I know those that jumped into the MBA program with GTN, I think
Yeah.
they grow leaps and bounds quicker than the average person coming from anywhere else. No doubt about that. I'm sorry that I didn't get in on that. I did go through Travel Institute that helped me.
Yeah.
But learn as much as you can so that you absolutely become the expert compared to a client that's going to come in, past
Yeah.
your doorway, so to speak, your virtual doorway or whatever. Um, and that's so confidence built with me. And the more confident I became, the more willing I was to say to people who I was and what I did. I've never been the pushy type, being a buyer nature rather
Yeah.
than sales nature. In the past, I've always been less pushy with my clients. I would rather them come to me, but I realize I need to put myself out there to a certain degree. But the more confidence you have, the easier that becomes. And don't give up. Just keep it is such a fun business. It is so fun. And that's what you need to do is embrace, I think. And I have done that I love learning. I love training. I love talking to fellow travel advisors, talking to anybody in the travel business, talking to any person about traveling.
Yeah.
I'm I light up. Somebody says to me, "I want to talk to you about Africa." Oh my god. Let me talk to you about Africa and talk a blue streak about our experience and wanna listen and hear what do they wanna do and what do they wanna see,
Yeah.
and where they wanna go and how much time do they have and, all those elements. How much budget do they have, to do what they need to do, but,
But
it
that's a really good uh what do you call it? Transition into my last question, which is my favorite question that I ask everybody is now that you've been in this business as long as you've had and you get to have this incredibly successful financial success because of it, but it's also fulfilling and you also have the flexibility so that's entrepreneurial success when you have on a scale of 1 to 10 you can rate your freedom, your fulfillment, and your financial satisfaction anywhere from an 8, 9, or 10. You've definitely achieved entrepreneurial success and you have a life that you love. So can you tell us about a travel experience that you've had because of this business and this profession that you've really mastered, where you've had this like moment of, oh my God, pinch me. I can't believe I get to do this for a living.
oh, every time I go away, frankly, but,
Yeah.
well, just recently, 2 things that I did just recently that were brilliant. One was, I did a Tauk River cruise in Portugal, in,
Well, that
November.
sounds amazing.
It was incredible. I've always wanted to do not it was the first time I went to Portugal of all places. I mean, I've
Yeah.
sold it a lot, but never been. So it was on my list. And this opportunity came up with Tauk that they were doing this special Thanksgiving week long on the Douro River on their beautiful ship. And great service. And I took 10 of us went, eight
Oh
other
my
people,
God.
including Rennie. But 10 of us went on this trip and we did 2 nights in Lisbon, and then we did the 7 nights on the river cruise, ship with Tauk. It was amazing, loved every minute of it, and every single one of those 8 people, and Rennie included, 9 all 10 of us, were just so tickled, and we were pinching ourselves all the time about the
Yeah.
experience, and all
Yeah.
these people loved me. They said, "Thank you for the opportunity," and I got thank you cards when we got home and all this sort of thing. I mean, and that was a real pinch me
It was
moment.
stress-free way to spend Thanksgiving, you
It
know?
was. It was fabulous. It really
Yeah.
was, and catered to for, I mean, ultimately the 7 nights that we were on the ship,
Yeah.
but, served breakfast, lunch, meal, dinner, and just in extraordinarily high level fashion. It was just
Yeah.
fabulous. I loved it, so and I've sold a lot of Tauks, so it was my first
Awesome.
time trying them as well, so I was thrilled
Yeah.
to get that opportunity to be on, with them as well and know the true experience personally as well, so I can really now shout it through the
Sounds
rooftop.
incredible, and I love how it was, like, so spontaneous, like, you saw the offer and you're like, "That's a really good deal. I'm gonna do this," and it turned into a "come with me," and it just, like, it was very
Yeah,
easy. I love
yeah,
that.
and we could have filled the whole ship if it hadn't been Thanksgiving, but there were
Yeah.
so many people, so I'd love to go, I wanna go so badly, but they said,
We
"Oh,
already have plans.
man,
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
16 people coming to my house," or whatever, so understandable, but
Well,
yeah,
this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for being so open and willing to share. And I love your enthusiasm, and I really love. I think my favorite part of what you said is it's just fun.
it is.
It's fun. It really, really is. And I know there's pieces of it that can feel very daunting, but it's so worth it. It is
Yeah,
absolutely so worth it.
yeah,
So thank
absolutely.
you for being a guest, but also thank you for just showing us what's possible. You really do show us what's possible, and you're such a wonderful, positive light in our community. Um, I know that you just add a beautiful element to our community. So
Thank
thank you for
you
that.
very much. Thank you, I appreciate that. It's such a great community to be a part of, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for listening to today's episode. If you want Patty to book your next trip, how can they get a hold of you?
Oh, they can text me, they can send me an email, I give that over the line here?
Yes, email address or website.
Okay,
Can they
okay,
find your
or a
contact details
website,
on
yeah,
your website?
millsroyluxurytravel.com, Patty at Mills Roy Luxury Travel,
Okay,
dot
awesome,
or 941-681-6903. Texting.
awesome, awesome,
So,
awesome. All right, well, thank you, Patty, so much, and we will see you all on the next episode. Thanks, everyone.
thanks, Meredith.